Hey there ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video of Gaming Linux. This time around I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Steam Deck, which got announced maybe last week. So a lot of you have probably already heard about this already. This seems to be Valve's answer to a portable console slash PC. And yeah, like I said, it got announced last week, and the reservations were put out. Basically, you could pay £4 and you could reserve a Steam Deck. And it's shipping in December 2021, but it seems that the reservations are quite a lot of reservations. So I think mine here, I've reserved mine, and it's expected Q2 2022. So not as quickly as shipping December 2021. So kind of expected I was a bit slow on that one, but hey. But yeah, I mean, this is very interesting. This is Valve's very own little console, and at the root of all of this, at the heart of this, is Linux. It runs Linux. How cool is that? Like, where do we even begin with this? I mean, what the hell? So the first thing you'll think is, oh, it looks like a Nintendo Switch. I mean, I looking into this and how it's going to be. This is going to be a direct competitor to Nintendo. This is great. This is amazing, and it's, like I say, it runs Linux. I think this is what was needed on the market because Nintendo have a firm grip on. Hello? Because Nintendo have a firm grip on the handheld market, and it just doesn't have a competitor. And what are you doing? What are you doing? So yeah, like I say, they finally have a competitor, a direct competitor with the Steam Deck, and that's fantastic news, because this kind of thing is so popular nowadays, and the only way you can have this kind of thing is through Nintendo. It comes in 3 flavors. Hardware-wise, it's not changing. The thing that changes from the cheapest one to the more dearer options is the internal storage. So you go from eMMC to basically a faster form factor, so looks like some kind of SSD, and you get more space. I mean, 64 gig is not a lot of space. You may as well, I think you may as well actually have a Switch at that point. And then for an extra £110, you get faster storage, carrier case, and some profile rubbish. Whereas the most expensive option keeps the same storage. It doubles the amount of space that you can actually have, and I think that that's ideally what you'll want, and as well as a anti-glare etched glass screen, whatever. But on top of this, you can also, it does have an SD card slot, so you can use an SD card, which I think they can go up to like a terabyte nowadays. Yes, I am correct. Portability meets power. We partnered with AMD to create Steam Deck's custom APU optimized for handheld gaming. It is a Zen 2 plus RDNA 2 powerhouse, delivering more than enough performance to run the latest AAA games in very efficient power envelope. Your Steam library anywhere, so once you've logged into the Steam Deck, your entire Steam library shows up. Just like any other PC, you'll be able to find your collections and favorites exactly where you left them. That's incredible. Think about when you get a new console, right? So I got the Switch. How many games did I have when I bought the Switch on this console? 2, 3 games? I mean, you buy 2 or 3 games when you first get a console, right? But when I eventually get the Steam Deck, I will have 1,325 games that I can just install and play. Over 1,000 games. That's ridiculous. But the Steam Deck was built for extended play sessions, whether you're using thumbsticks or trackpads, with full-size controls positioned perfectly within your reach. The rear of the device is sculpted to comfortably fit a wide range of hand sizes. They're doing a dock as well. It looks pretty nice. The official dock props up your Steam Deck while connecting to external displays, wired networking, USB peripherals, and power. You can also use a powered USB-C hub if you've got one lying around. The official dock will be sold separately, more information coming soon. So that's pretty cool. I've seen a couple of pictures where they have it connected to a display. So this is where it comes into not a handheld console, but a handheld PC. You have a dock. You could genuinely replace your PC and just have a Steam Deck and just a dock. Plop your deck into the dock, and then boom, you got a PC. You plug in your USB keyboard and your mouse and all that stuff, and you just literally have a PC. Close-ups. It looks very interesting. I mean, it's got some back buttons here. I'm not too bothered about that. I'm never really bothered about that on controllers. And yeah, these trackpads look very interesting. It opens up more possibilities for the particular games that you'll have in your library, because obviously some people want to play real-time strategy games, that kind of thing. It just allows every game to be played. And the layout does look weird, but I've watched a few videos and it kind of makes sense. People say it's pretty comfortable. Actual gameplay running on prototype hardware. I mean, that looks freaking good. I can't imagine a Switch running a game like this. Built for extended play sessions, whether you're using thumbsticks or trackpads with full-size controls positioned perfectly within reach, the rear of the device is sculpted to comfortably fit a wide range of hand sizes. It's got a touchscreen, which I think is the right choice. I think they would have messed up big time if they didn't go for touchscreen. Trackpads, it'll be interesting to see how they work, especially in like an RTS game. Also give you a competitive edge when playing fast-paced FPS games. I'm not sure about using those for FPS games, especially competitive games. I don't think they'd work very well for that, but hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong once the time comes. And yeah, gyro as well, so you can move it about and stuff. I've tried this on the Switch, and it's weird. Like, I think for games like this, it adds like a little nice dimension. Like maybe with slower paced games. So I used it on Resident Evil, and you could like tweak your Switch a little bit and get a really nice headshot. But in a fast-paced setting, I'm not sure how that would work. Actual gameplay running on prototype hardware. Someone playing Doom? Is that Doom? Yeah, there he's using a gyro as well, so he's like tweaking it when he's aiming down sights. He's just chilling on his sofa, he's having a good time. You can expect to get a maximum battery life of 7 to 8 hours. But that's in like the lowest end cases, so it's a question of how is that going to handle it with like the AAA game. It would be nice if it actually showed the heavier case situation. I think they said something like 2 hours, but which isn't amazing by all means, especially if you're traveling. But we'll see. Another USB-C jack is multi-purpose. So I guess that's the slot on the top. Wireless, of course, is wireless. Fast suspend and resume. We built a quick suspend resume feature into SteamOS. Press the power button and Steam Deck will suspend your game and go into sleep mode. That's kind of interesting because I think they could not have a handheld console without this feature. It's great on the Switch, just being able to switch it off, leave it for a couple hours, come back to it, and it's still going. It's going to be interesting to see how this works and if it works reliably. This is what I saw. Okay, so this guy's got his full PC. It's just using the Steam Deck. It looks nice. Like you can see Linux running Linux there. That's cool, man. It looks interesting to see what they're doing with SteamOS as well. Because like I think they're basically using what is big picture mode, and big picture mode in its current state is really bad. I'm not a big fan of it at all. But the changes that they're making here, they look really nice. And I think they're basically bringing the changes from this onto big picture mode, which will basically make big picture mode a lot more usable. That's great. Now it's just going to use your cloud saves. I mean, you could be playing your game on your PC and then quit the game, cloud save, go to bed, carry on playing. That is cool. That is super cool. It's a new version of SteamOS built with Steam Deck in mind and optimized for a handheld game experience. It comes with Proton, a compatibility layer that makes it possible to run your games without any porting work needed from developers. Deck will vastly improving Proton's game compatibility and support for anti-cheat solutions by working directly with the vendors. That right there, that is a big thing, because one of the things that's holding Proton back right now is stuff like the EAC, the Easy Anti-Cheat System. Games like PUBG, Apex Legends, you know, the big BR games, you can't run them right now because Easy Anti-Cheat System is a big no-no on Linux, and it will probably kick you from the game and you won't be able to play them. So yeah, the fact that they're working with developers to try and get this fixed is massive for Linux gaming. So many of the games that don't work right now that we want to work will probably work. It's a Linux system, you know this. I love this. The new version of SteamOS is optimized for handheld gaming, and it won't get in your way with other stuff. But if you want to get your hands dirty, head out to the desktop. I love the CRT. G-Man. D-pad, view, left speaker, right speaker, trackpad 1, trackpad 2, quick access. Oh, they've got a little mic on the front. I wonder how that's going to be. It's a 7-inch touchscreen. Oh, they've got 2 mics. Okay. So L2, L1, R1, R2. It'd be interesting to see what the triggers are like, because obviously the Switch is very notorious for having analog triggers. You know, you've got on or off, 0% or 100%. There's no in between. It's either on or off. So for racing games, for example, you're either on no throttle or full throttle. It's one of the things that Nintendo have been very bad for. You know, they released the Pro controller, and that was the same. It was analog triggers. It doesn't make sense. So hopefully this it looks like, I mean, it looks like it. It looks like you can maybe press it down a little bit. So speeds and feeds, AMD APU, CPU Zen 2, up to 448 G flops, blah blah blah. RDNA 2 CUs, 1 to 1.6 gigahertz, APU power 4 to 15 watts, RAM 16 gig, onboard RAM, and there's your storage options depending on which one you buy. In layman's terms, I've looked into this because I'm not the most plumbed in guy in terms of hardware, especially when it comes to AMD. But apparently, I think this basically puts it in line with like an Xbox One or a PS4, which is pretty good. I think that would be really good. The obvious difference being that the games will be PC, so you can make adjustments. So where the PS4 and the Xbox One have the games ported and have particular graphics settings you can't change. Obviously on PC you can change any graphics settings and you can go from 30 FPS to 60 FPS, so to speak. But yeah, speaking of FPS, they did come out and say that they are targeting 30 FPS. But Pierre-Luc Griffiths? I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I pronounced his name wrong. He's a guy who's behind a lot of the Proton stuff, and he's doing some work on the Steam Deck as well. He's basically came out and said that the 30 FPS target refers to the floor of what we consider playable in our performance testing. Games we've tested and shown have consistently met and exceeded that bar so far. There will be an optional built-in FPS limiter to fine-tune performance versus battery life. Now that's interesting. That'll be very interesting to see how that works. So they're basically saying that, you know, they're testing a bunch of games. As long as they hit 30 FPS, great. You know, that's without them fine-tuning it, because, you know, there's so many games that they can try. They hit 30 FPS, great, boom, out the door. It's in a bit. You know, so with fine-tuning, you could probably get the game to hit 60 FPS in a lot of terms, depending on what the game is and so on and so forth. But this is very interesting that there'll be an optional built-in FPS limiter to fine-tune performance versus battery life. That'd be great for when you're on the move. It'd be interesting to see if you can maybe change this, like depending on whether you're plugged in. So say, if I'm plugged into the power, I want to be performance. I want to get 60 FPS. But if I'm on battery life, I want to hit 30 FPS. That'd be interesting to see if they can have those two different states. That'd be good. But that's very cool. I like that. Oh wait, okay. So Gamepad Controls, D-pad L and R. Analog triggers, analog, right. Analog. Oh, bye. That's my coffee. Okay, that's interesting. I was hoping that wouldn't be the case, like I said. The good thing is that you can. There's so many peripherals that you can probably link to this. I think it has Bluetooth. Yeah, there you go, Bluetooth. Supports for controllers, etc., so on and so forth. So if you do want to, if there is a particular game, like a racing game, where analog triggers is a problem, I could go, okay, I'll connect my PS5 controller to it, and then I'll use my PS5 controller. So there's always that, what if, and there's always something that you can add to it to make it, playable. Phone sticks. Analog sticks with capacitive touch. I'm not 100% sure what that means. Does that mean it's maybe press it down a bit harder or something? I don't know. HD haptics. It'd be interesting to see what the haptics are like on this. Because the Switch has really nice HD rumble. I think that's one thing that the Switch does really well. The haptics are really nice on that, and it makes a big difference to a lot of games. Just that little bump. On Hollow Knight, for example, you jump down, you land hard on the floor, you just get a little pop on your Switch, which is nice. So the trackpads have haptic feedback, so it sounds like they're going to be similar to what the Steam controllers have with the little trackpads, and they'll have little, when you move them, they'll make a little bit of haptic vibrations, which is interesting. 55% better latency compared to Steam controller. Pressure sensitivity for configurable click strength. Okay, that's interesting. Yep, so resolution, the display is 1280 by 800, which is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio, which makes sense. So it's basically like 720p, but in a 16 by 10 aspect ratio. It makes sense because it's wider. It works better for this. I mean, obviously it's longer. But I think that is fine. Like, you don't need any more than 1080p on a little console like that size. You know what I mean? Refresh rate 60 Hz. Yeah, that makes sense. Touch enabled. Yeah. Okay, so yes, there you go. 2 to 8 hours of gameplay. Yeah, I guess that depends. Like I say, on games. Expansion, microSD, USB-C with DisplayPort. Alt mode support up to 8K 60 Hz or 4K 120 Hz. That's interesting. So, I very much expect that you can't run games at that resolution, but it's great that it has this option. So if you have an 8K screen, you can run an 8K screen if you really want to, but you don't want to play games at that. Maybe stick to 720p. But it's nice that it has this option. Very good. Yeah. Size and weight, approx 669 grams. The Switch with the Joy-Cons attached is just about 400 grams, so it's like 269 grams more, so it's a little bit heavier and a little bit bigger as well. Okay, so well, there you go. There's a size comparison. That's interesting. It'd be like, I mean, it looks a bit bulkier, but it'd be interesting to see. And there you go, software. Operating system, SteamOS 3.0, Arch-based. And the desktop is using KDE Plasma. That's interesting. That's something KDE have not used in years. Absolute years. Like 10 plus years I've not used it for. Yeah, and there's the dock. Specs subject to change, so HDMI, Ethernet, DisplayPort, so on and so forth. So yeah, that is the Steam Deck. It's very interesting to see how this is going to work, how it's going to change Linux gaming as a whole. Yeah, it's a lot to take in, and honestly, it really is. There's a lot of stuff that's come out since this has been announced. One tweet that I saw, for example, was from Ethan Lee, as you can see here. If you release a Linux version of your game on Steam and are directly approached by Valve about using Proton instead, please get in touch. The DM's open. They've already done this a few times, but I would like to see how aggressive they are planning to be going forward. So that's probably a subject for another video, but that's a really interesting subject, is that Valve are trying to push, developers to use Proton rather than an already ported Linux native client. Even Lee's ported a hell of a lot of games to Linux, so I assume, judging from this, he's already been approached. He's ported like Owlboy, Fez, VVVV, all sorts. So it's interesting, yeah. Even Gardner replied and game. Yeah, so I wonder if they're trying to like maybe replace this. I mean, nah, I can't imagine that being the case. It's like the Steam logo, like a deck. I was watching Gardner's video on this yesterday. He spoke a lot into this. So definitely check out Gardner's channel. He goes into discussing this quite a lot. How it's positive, how it's negative. There's a lot of balance to this. It's hard to put it into a quick summary, but yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, but yeah, overall, this is exciting. Like I said, this is overall, it's going to be very good for Linux gaming. A lot of people are going to get this and probably not even realize that they are running Linux. But that's fine. I speak to I've spoken to my friends and my fiance in the past in regards to Linux. They know about my channel, obviously. And whilst they're aware of Linux, it's not a thing that they've ever really been that interested in. I speak to them about it, and it's like, yeah, cool, We'll talk to him and forget about it in a couple of minutes. They've never had interest to go, okay, that sounds actually really good. I want to try Linux. They've never said that. The other day the Steam Deck came, it got announced, and I mentioned it in the chat, and they were like, wow, that, yeah, they already knew about it, and they were already excited about it. They were already interested in it. My fiance says that she wants it, because... Yeah, and my friend who recently bought a Switch said he was pretty salty because he would have bought this instead over the Switch. And like I say, it is a PC at the end of the day. They've said there's no restrictions to what you can install on this. If you really don't want to have Linux on it, you can install Windows on it. You can have a full desktop PC, so you can install, say, emulators, you can just browse the internet, so on and so forth. The possibilities are endless. Like I say, it's not just a gaming console, it is a full PC in the palm of your hands. Which is great, because like I say, I want to play my Switch in bed. I want to play games in bed. I'm getting to the age now where I don't want to sit at my desk and play a game. I'd much rather go to the living room and sit on the sofa, or go to bed and play a game there. Which is why I've been playing my Switch a little bit more recently. But the problem with Switch, I don't have a lot of games on this. I have a lot of games on my PC. So for example, the Christmas sales were recently on. I rebought This War of Mine on my Switch. I bought Devil May Cry 3, Batman Telltale series, a couple of games that I already have on my Steam. And not just that, but the price of them is pretty expensive. So I got Devil May Cry 3 on sale for £11, which is usually like £15 on Steam, on the eShop, Nintendo eShop. I think you can get the Devil May Cry the Devil May Cry HD collection, which includes 3 games. A HD collection, so that includes 3 games. Retails at £24.99, but I'm sure this goes on sale for like half price, which is £12. So there's so much positives to this. I'm hell of excited. Like I said, a lot of people who I know personally are excited about this, and that gets me excited because they're excited to potentially be running Linux without even noticing. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Maybe I should make more videos about this down the line. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of you have already watched videos on this, have done a little bit of research yourself. That's a lot of talking. Ugh. Right. Well, I think that sums it up. The Steam Deck, I'm super excited. I'm sure a lot of you are super excited. I can't wait to get a hold of mine, whenever the hell that'll be. Probably not this year, maybe next year. Hopefully early next year. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Rate and subscribe for future Linux content, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.